service used by many of us.
How's that? Is that better? No, I'm not muted. I'm dealing with all this new equipment and I don't really know how to use it yet, but I should be able to hear me now. Let me get a thumbs up or some comments letting me know. I got a new sound card and everything. But I really don't like this setup. What I was trying to say is the show that we're going to do tonight is going to be about sextortion, child porn, and how Dropbox kind of fits into all of this. There's a lot of companies that are doing really good work when it comes to the transmission of child porn. Like Dropbox is doing a great job, Instagram, um, Facebook. But unfortunately, companies like Apple, they're not doing that good of a job, from my understanding. And it's very relevant because the case that we cover here on the Sleuth Intuition YouTube channel is Delphi. Once we get this thing all cleared away and we can kind of put it up on the shelf with the smiley face and we can mark it justice served, we'll move on. But right now, this is a Delphi channel. That's what we do here. We stick to the game plan. We stay focused daily. We do not stray. We maintain course. That's what we're doing here. So Apple not reporting and knowing that Libby had her iPhone 6, that's a little disturbing. It's a little upsetting. You kind of wonder if maybe they possibly could have done something to help. We're going to get into some stories. Any of you who have joined my Facebook channel, Delphi Murderers, Who is BG No Rules, you kind of get an inside scoop. It's kind of like a members only. We do what we want there with no fears. We don't allow any of the members to try to snitch on us to Facebook or anything like that. It's very open-minded. The good thing about that group is if you say something out of line, the group is going to tell you. People forget that free speech works two ways. You can speak your free speech, and then you have to expect somebody's free speech in return. See, people forget that that's how it works. So even though you're free to speak your mind, there's going to be a whole group of people who are going to tell you why what you're saying is full of shit. And that includes me too. I'm not safe there. Everybody knows that. I've been called an idiot. I've been called, and sometimes I'll post stuff knowing that it's half-ass, but it's just more there to provoke thought. Stuff like that. So we're going to get this party started right here. And let me see if I can kind of put it up a little bit. Let's see. Let me open my folder so I know what I'm doing. So this guy's last name is Nieto. I think he's a part of the military. So this is a story of a person that was transferring child porn, and the FBI basically tracked him down and busted him. So this will give us some insight into maybe what's going on with the Delphi case, the way the FBI is handling it, procedure, protocol, things like that. Knowing what we know now, we can kind of start paying attention. We know the language. We've decoded that in the last live. We know what law enforcement's doing. They gave up their hand for a reason. It's not like we did something extraordinary and they gave us a little taste of something and we're running with it. No, I think they're closing some things up, and I'm hopeful, but I haven't stopped what I'm doing. Even though I'm focused on Klein and any of his associates and what that connection means, I'm still looking for other options and other possibilities. So on that note, let's go ahead and dive in. I want to give a shout out to all the people that showed up here. Carol, I know you're driving, so be safe. You better not be typing in when you're driving, be safe, please. Big Daddy, gang on Royal. All right.
Is getting the credit for helping to catch a child pornography suspect in Austin.
And police say the man under arrest is a member of the military. According to the court records, 27-year-old Michael Nieto is a corporal with the U.S. Army Reserves. KXAN's Chris Sadeghi looks at the accusations that landed Nieto in jail.
When you need a place to store your videos or pictures, DropBox is a place to do it online.
Pictures at work and things of that nature, but personally I don't have too much experience with the website.
John Young knows it will save your files, but like a lot of other online services, you have to check the box, whether you actually read the terms or not.
I mean, I'll be honest, and I think I'm in the boat as most people. I probably don't look at it as closely as I should.
Those terms say no pornography, and that may have proved critical at a South Austin home not far from John's. An arrest warrant says DropBox, per their terms, found someone uploaded 38 videos of child pornography to a DropBox account. The company acted, and now there's an arrest. Police said the uploads were coming from an email associated with the U.S. Army. They contacted the Army's command and were pointed in the direction of this neighborhood, and this is where police set up an undercover operation. Police zeroed in on Michael Nieto and arrested him. They say he later admitted to trading the pornography online. No visible signs of any of it happening in the neighborhood.
I haven't seen anything too suspicious around here, though. It makes me a little uncomfortable.
When we contacted DropBox to ask how they monitor such files being uploaded, they sent a statement saying they report whenever law agencies, child safety organizations, or private individuals alert them. A policy that police say worked. In South Austin, Chris Sadeghi, KXAN News.
We asked about Nieto's military status and how it may be affected, but so far have not heard back from the Army Public Affairs. Right now, Nieto is in the Travis County Jail, held on $100,000 bond. It took several days and a number of agencies to process the original tip from DropBox. Take a look. On June the 2nd, the tip was sent to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children's cyber tip line. 10 days later, it was sent to the Texas Office of Attorney General's Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force. And on that same day, the case was handed over to an investigator with the Austin Police Department who is assigned to the Human Trafficking Unit.
The company that sent authorities the tip has some big ties to Austin. Last year, DropBox said it was expanding by adding 170 jobs to its downtown Austin office. DropBox had originally planned to take hundreds of thousands of dollars in incentive money from the city, but then backed away from that deal last year. The company decided to grow on its own. DropBox also has 3 other locations here in the U.S. and several across the world.
A 90 is a disturbing.
So, I mean, good for DropBox. I don't know what's going on with the video. I spent all this time trying to put this video together, and something's just up with my system. I don't know what it is. Are you guys getting like a weird delay, or it seems like it's kind of sketchy on the video? Man, it's like I got this badass laptop and it's just pissing me off. My old piece of crap system is way better. Yep, I'm just gonna have to get a nice desktop. But did you see how they tracked this guy down? So Dropbox, it's not like the FBI caught this guy. Oh, really? Says I have a good connection on my end. So it wasn't like the FBI discovered this guy. It took the efforts of Dropbox being proactive, looking out for this kind of stuff. Like, it's part of their policy. When you click that box, you're basically saying, hey, if I'm going to transmit anything that's illegal, like, I'm basically asking for it. So they did a great job. And in that video, they kind of explained how the process worked. So I'm assuming that's what happened in Indiana. But we're going to view some more FBI information, and they'll go into more detail. Shout out to ITMO Project. Thanks for joining us. Carol, thank you for being safe. I appreciate that. If something happened to you, I just don't know what I would do. You're a bigger part of the community than you probably think. Fight for justice. Hello. She's gonna leave us some good comments. Big Daddy, my brethren. Yep, they're taking out the garbage. All right, let's see if we can get into some more FBI information, kind of get an idea of how they operate. That might give us an idea, maybe put our minds into a time machine and take us back, to the early days of the crime. Kind of get an idea what the FBI was doing there and how they were helping and what they might have been involved in. Could have been some of this stuff. Let's take a look.
Issue, but one that is growing. The production of millions of pornographic images of children being sexually abused. They are uploaded from cell phones, webcams, and computers. John Ferrugia of Rocky Mountain PBS has the story of one family who was a victim and explores what you can do to protect your children.
There was a card on our front door from the FBI. And immediately our hearts sank. We thought, why is the FBI contacting us?
7 years ago, Beth and her husband couldn't imagine what the FBI wanted, but they agreed to meet.
They said, we believe your son has been a victim of a crime. And I said, impossible. My son is at home. And he showed me the photos, and immediately I just broke down. My husband broke down crying.
What she saw was her then 4-year-old son being sexually abused. The acts documented in still images and video and uploaded to the internet. It had been going on for 2 years.
And they asked us if we knew who the person was and where he could be located. And
did you?
I did. He actually was a family friend that we had known for a long time, almost my whole life.
It's your neighbor, it's your pastor, it's your teacher, it's your soccer coach. We've had all of those types of people, people with kids, people without kids.
FBI Special Agent Tina Forkas has been investigating internet child pornography in the Denver field office for more than 7 years.
I wish there was some magic profile where we could identify these people, but there's not.
It was Forkas, along with agents in Illinois, Missouri, Arizona, and Colorado, who were able to identify her son. Through their investigation, they discovered he had been a victim in a multi-state child porn ring, and the agents tracked down those who had sexually abused him for years.
My son was going to my dad's house. My dad also had some people that were helping him out and providing care and resources at his house.
So he had no idea?
He had absolutely no idea.
The men, one married with 2 children and the other single, who had access to Beth's son, were arrested and convicted. The break in the case came with the arrest of this man, Richard Franklin. He is a 50-year-old military veteran who lived in this quiet Denver neighborhood with his parents, who knew nothing about their son's criminal obsession.
You take a quick walk around the house and you immediately know usually who your subject is, because it's the bedroom with all the computers and all the keyboards.
FBI photos from their search of the house show how Franklin closeted himself with his computers, where he could view images he collected of children being sexually abused.
He had hundreds of thousands of images and videos of child pornography.
Hundreds of thousands?
Yes, hundreds of thousands.
Franklin's images of sexually abused children stored on hard drives were being traded with like-minded predators all over the U.S. and beyond.
You see that?
Franklin was advertising for child porn, receiving images, including those of Beth's son, and trading images from his collection. Franklin was convicted and sentenced to 100 years in federal prison. The National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, known as NCMEC, works with federal, state, and local law enforcement to identify
pay attention to
children in
this.
photos
This might be
who
what
are being
happened.
sexually abused. Here's how it works. Internet service providers like Google, Yahoo, and others monitor the billions of uploads and downloads of material with algorithms that search for possible child pornography. When it's detected, the providers review them and contact NCMEC, sending a sample of the image as well as information about the web server and the address. It is then passed along to the FBI for possible investigation.
We're able to run those images against known images that NCMEC has, and that may play a part in victim identification.
Calvin Shivers is the special agent in charge of the FBI office in Denver. He previously headed the Violent Crimes Against Children section at FBI headquarters. He says in Colorado, about 50% of child porn cases investigated are derived from tips from internet providers through the nonprofit.
A lot of times when you just get a general tip, there may not be enough information, but NCMEC, because of the experienced staff, they're able to, in some instances, call additional information that may help the investigation.
The number of tips compiled by the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children has exploded in recent years. In 2010, there were more than 213,000 tips involving child pornography. In 2017, the number of tips was more than 10 million.
The number of cases that are happening, it's an avalanche. I mean,
That's
we
crazy.
just feel like we're dishing the ocean out with a spoon.
This
Judy
definitely
Smith
educated
is
me.
chief of the Cybercrime and National Security Section
You
of
got
the
kids,
U.S.
make sure
Attorney's
you're
Office in
talking to 'em.
Denver.
Nobody wants to know that this dark side of humanity exists, and not just exists, but the scope of it.
Judy Smith says another growing concern involves increasingly younger kids carrying smartphones.
They can take pictures of themselves, and they can send those to their friends or somebody who they think are friends. There's online predators out there who pose as young boys or girls who then entice or ask kids to self-produce child pornography.
I know you've been waiting for this for a while.
And FBI Special Agent Tina Forkas says once just one photo is sent by an unsuspecting child or teen to a predator posing online as another kid, as illustrated in this NCMEC training video,
They can be blackmailed, or they're too embarrassed to say anything, so they continue to send pictures.
To emphasize the point, Forkas noted that while we were conversing on an upper floor of the FBI building in Denver,
People are actively posting child pornography on one of my undercover computers downstairs.
Wow.
There's a little girl on that site. You can tell she's self-producing. I mean, she's holding the cell phone out. She's nude.
Some
She's
Klein
maybe
shit.
10, 11 years old.
You're
And
seeing
we're seeing this live on this
Blackmail.
site. Why is she taking pictures of herself? Where are her parents?
You know, parents should be cognizant of what their children are doing on the internet and on their smartphones, just across the board.
and FBI Special Agent in Charge Calvin Shivers says it goes beyond
I just wanted to point something out. When I'm presenting the whole sextortion and all this information, like, this is not a dig at the parents. You know, I'm guilty. I'm just as guilty. Because if it wasn't for that crime, I wouldn't have been educated on all this stuff, and I wouldn't have been as protective as I am now. So, you know, Anna and all you guys, I just want you guys to know, like, this isn't a shot at you. Like, you did something wrong. Like, you weren't paying attention. We're just trying to learn from the tragedy. That way, we can do better in the future. This is not a dig at you. Just FYI.
Monitoring.
Parents should also make sure that there's a good avenue for their children to communicate. And if they had that conversation, that the children know that they can come to them. To your point, a lot of the victims don't feel that they can talk to their parents, and that causes them to be re-victimized over and over again.
For Beth's son and for her family, ongoing therapy has brought them beyond trauma to hope.
How does your son see his future?
Oh, it's just very positive. He's also going to have this story to go with it, that, I dealt with this as a child, and look, here I am, and you can get through it too.
Beth and her family say they hope public discussion of this horrific crime will bring public awareness and reduce the stigma for victims whose childhood photos often remain accessible on the web, and that it will help victims and their families heal.
Yep. Man, did you hear that? So she had no clue. She was dropping her son off at her dad's house, and her dad had some type of handicap for whatever reason. He was receiving help from friends, and one of the friends that was over there helping them was a family friend. And while he was over there helping the father, who was babysitting his grandchild, he would take advantage of the grandchild and post the porn. So I just want everybody to know the world that we're living in. I don't want you to go around thinking everybody's like a child porn peddler, but you got to remember, like, especially for Christians, this is, what are we dealing with? We're dealing with wickedness. We're dealing with wickedness in high and low places. This case happens to be one of those low places. The Ghislaine Maxwell, that just happens to be wickedness in high places. That's what we're dealing with here. So just pay attention, and especially if you have teens, like early teens, like anywhere between like 11 and like 16, just tell them, like, hey, you're not like talking to anybody weird, right? And then don't just ask them, like, show them these videos, like, show them, like, the reason I ask you, is check this out. Like, my daughter, she's like, she knows that I do true crime, and she knows all about the Delphi stuff, and she knows how paranoid I am. So, hey, Jenny. All right. Before we go on to the next one, let's kind of take a look at the chat. Looks like we had some people kind of show up. Tim C, ISP. I don't think they're talking about internet service provider. It's possible. I think it might be state police, possibly. Amber, you think you can do us some stats when it comes to catfishing and online predators? Anything you can do that might have to do with what we're talking about? That'd be kind of cool. Well, Tomcat, the connection that they had, if you're referring to Delphi, they had that information instantly. They served their search warrants before the month of February was up. They didn't really arrest this person, which means that he most likely was a cooperating witness. So hopefully there's going to be a lot of stuff that develops with that. But if so, that means that they got everything that they need. So I'm looking at other things right now, things that I've seen a lot of heartbreak, and I don't want to get distracted. I'm ready for the good news, but I haven't faltered, in my aggressive approach as an armchair sleuth. when it comes to the Delphi case. Gang, gang, Amber. We already know. We already know. Like, we're getting deep. Like, we're rolling deep right now. Like, we might as well just get like leather jackets and get some Harleys. We're basically like a biker gang, a true crime biker gang that don't take no shit. Yeah. Anna, I don't even like talking about it. If you talk to any profiler or any FBI behavioral analyst, they'll tell you don't ever advertise, about your children. And I regret doing that. And it's like one of those rules that I broke. I knew it from the beginning because I study all this, I study human behavior. So yeah, don't go out there advertising online that you have children and things like that. But the truth is, I'm very careful. You can never be too careful. That might even provoke, when you tell somebody that you're careful, might even provoke somebody even more. So, I mean, I try to be careful. Like even just today, somebody was kind of lingering close to my property and near my backyard. And, they were caught on camera right away. I was viewing them. And, I went out there to see what they were doing. So happened to be he was just soliciting and needed to tie his shoe, and he was cutting through yards. So, but yeah, I was on him. So if you try to creep on me, I'm going to be on you too. Carol, I actually have a story from Australia just for you. I included it tonight. So I try to include some Australia and some UK whenever I can, but this one was specifically for you. And it's coming up pretty soon, actually. Man. Probably more than that, man. The sad part is when you look up these people, like the guy in Kokomo that I posted in the Facebook group, he just seemed like a regular guy. He wasn't like your cool kid or anything like that. So he kind of had a weird eye too. So I'm sure some people made fun of him. And that's fucked up. Reminds me of like that whole school shooter stuff. Like, just stop being mean to people. Not giving them an excuse, but certain people have psychological issues. And if you're like poking that person, with a stick, fuck, who knows what's going to happen. So just be nice and you don't have to worry about being part of some tragedy. Yeah. See, CNN is all creeped out right now. You got like Don Lemon. He's like facing charges. What is it? The Cuomo brothers. They're both out of there. One's going to go to prison. One might go to prison. It's like, what the it's like, man, when are you going to learn? Jojo Ballistic is sharing something important with us, guys. I'm going to read it out loud. I am the survivor of a pedophile phone call, age 9. I never told my parents all of what was said. I cannot imagine it with pictures. This was a landline, 1978. Yeah. So the more sophisticated we get as a civilization, the more sophisticated people's endeavors will get, no matter what. If you want to start a business, if you want to donate, if you want to advocate, or if you want to freaking catfish and get into child porn, like, you've been facilitated. But that's why I wanted to bring attention to Dropbox and things like that, because they're doing a really good job, and we still have a lot to get into. So I don't want to talk too much. But it's still pretty early, so I want to make sure if I can get to as many comments as I can. I try to do the best I can on this channel to engage comments. That's kind of what I like to do. You guys, I'm just the guy that got on the camera. It doesn't make me special. So we're all here together. I'm just kind of like the microphone controller type situation. So let me burn through these real quick, and then we'll keep it moving. I don't want to bore you to death. Dude, Amber, that's why I made you a mod. Like, you're a great mod on all these other channels. You have a very respectable resume, but the reason I brought you on was because of your stats. Updates. What updates? I don't remember putting the word updates in my title. Unless you're just asking randomly for people, hey, if there's any updates or news, let Joe Geneva know what's up. Maybe he's coming here for a source for information. Yeah. Joe, man, you got to be more specific. I think that's what you mean. If you're looking for updates and information, you came to the right place. Just got to ask the right questions. Just come out and ask it. Say, hey, like, what's going on? What's new? And we're going to have a complete Delphi discussion at the end of all of this. And I don't want to keep rambling. I'll go through the rest of the questions as I let this play. Okay, guys? I could go on forever. You guys are nuts. All right.
For the PBS NewsHour, I'm John Ferrugia in Denver.
One online predator and hundreds of victims nationwide, including our community. And tonight, the FBI says it needs help identifying sextortion victims lured by a man prowling the internet.
News Channel 5's Michelle Quesada is in our newsroom with this developing story. Michelle.
Ashley and Michael, the man used more than 100 different
names
to contact his victims. Young girls were targeted in 26 states, including 9 right here in Florida and Palm Beach County.
This is something that came into my life, and as horrible and bad as it is, I know that
Hey, Jenny.
Ashley Reynolds is coming forward to help the FBI find more than 200 teenage girls who may have been victims of sextortion. The FBI says in 7 years, 31-year-old Lucas Michael Chancellor targeted hundreds of teenagers on the internet.
I just remember getting this message that the subject line said something about naked pictures and that he has of me.
The FBI says Chancellor chose young and vulnerable girls to coerce them into sending naked pictures, or he would threaten to share compromising photos or videos of them on the internet.
I gave him the pictures and I got to keep my reputation.
The FBI says he pretended to be a 15-year-old boy. Skater for Live 2021, Josh is Posh, are on the list of 135 screen names, emails, MySpace IDs that were all connected to Chancellor. For a long time, Ashley felt trapped, ashamed. Freedom came the day she finally worked up the courage to tell someone.
Oh, as awkward as it could be.
Alphabetius. Welcome.
Parents, you're gonna feel a whole.
I don't think I've seen you around here.
Yeah, that's heaven compared to.
Everybody make this dude comfortable.
By yourself.
Now we're working to find out exactly how many victims were located in our area. Chancellor is facing 105 years in prison for producing child pornography. If you were a victim or you know someone who was, there's a confidential questionnaire you can fill out. You can find that link on our WPTV Facebook page.
Wow. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. So let me just catch up on some of the chat. No, I'm pretty. This kind of is a political channel. Every once in a while, I'll do a political stream. So I mean, it's welcome. There's really no rules here. I mean, I can stay on topic, and I plan to, but the chat's free to do what they want, you know. And so are you. But I promise, if you're here to watch, you know what what it's titled as, I will stay on topic, and I plan to. But the chat's free to do what they want, man. It depends, man. There's a lot going on. I don't know what you know. I don't know how I don't know how updated you are on the case. But as far as just here recently, yeah, there's been some strange things with Keegan Klein's pre-trial and his trial dates. That's all been moved back. Yeah, other stuff like that, if that's what you mean. Yeah, there's a lot of interesting stuff going on with that, which makes me hopeful. Yep, that's what I'm saying. Got to speak up. Can't be a coward. Scissor. That's funny. I had one of my viewers, it was funny, he unsubscribed and then he resubscribed, but he yelled at me because he doesn't like me drinking whenever I drink out of these cups. Like, these are gifts. I love these cups. Like, my ice never melts in these cups. But I can understand the clinking and the clanking going on in the microphone. That might be annoying. But I kind of snapped on him. I think he unsubscribed and then he resubscribed. So I appreciate that. Maybe he realized, like, hey, yeah, like, if you're not interested, don't fucking come around. Yeah, I basically told him, like, don't tell me what to do on my channel. Like, if you don't want to hear clinking ice and shit like that, people smoking bongs, talking about weed and talking about how, you know, Trump was a good president, you're in the wrong place, because it might happen. All right, let's go to some of these comments. Yep, that is 100%. They're building a case. They may have had a lot of information, let's say on Klein. It's very possible Klein is our bridge guy, and the murderer is somebody that came up behind the girls. And there could have even been a third person laying in wait somewhere else. I mean, how else are you going to control two girls? There was no shots. Well, no witnesses mentioned any shots. So yeah, it's just not enough. So people ask, well, how can you let him run around? Well, he's probably a witness. They wanted to use him as bait to get this other person who could possibly be on camera. You think Bridge Guy's the only person? No, we went over it in my last live. Law enforcement is telling us clear as day that there's another person. Not only is there another person, but he was caught on camera. And that's the information that they're holding back. Just because you're caught on camera, if your face isn't caught clear as day, like, look at my face right here. Like, yeah, that's my face. But if you were to provide that to law enforcement, I'm wearing sunglasses, a hat, headphones. You can see my nose and my cheeks. Like, it's just not enough. You know what I mean? So They had him. They know who it is. But law enforcement can know all they want. They can have all the evidence that convinces them. But once they bring it to the prosecutor, if the prosecutor's not going to accept that evidence, there's nothing. You can't do anything. So if anybody has a problem with that, you need to go talk to Ives. They had this information since February. And he even lied to everybody about the online. Well, he didn't lie, but he held on to the information. Gray was a little salty. He thought maybe Ives would have been truthful with him, but he wasn't. Iowa. Okay, welcome. Definitely appreciate you stopping by. Man, speak your mind. I wasn't trying to shut you up or anything. I was just trying to let you know. Speak your mind. Nobody's going to stop that. There you go, buddy. See, it's welcome. You know, there's a lot of politics. Politics are in every aspect of life. And, you know, freedom of speech here on this channel for sure, man. But yeah, we're going to stay on topic. Everything has its time. We all know that. Whether it's a time to lie, time to kill, time to die. Everything has its time. But when it's not the right time, that's when we know we got to fight. All right. I can ramble on all day. Let's keep this moving. I really lined up a decent show, so let's check it out.
Reminder tonight for parents to talk to their teenagers about the dangers of social media and the people who may be preying on them. This after Bensalem police say a man abused social media and bullied girls into sending him nude photos. Alicia Roberts joins us live now from Bensalem. Alicia.
Hi, Jess. Officials say Ian Pisarchuk lured his victims online by gaining their trust. He's been doing it for 5 years. At least 7 victims are known, and more are likely out there. 25-year-old Ian Pisarchuk sits in a Bucks County jail charged with multiple counts of child porn and extortion. Officials say over multiple years he'd made contact online with at least 4 known victims by claiming to be a mutual friend.
These individuals, and I use that term lightly, will search and find those friends of friends and then pretending that they already know you, tricking people into friending them.
Once connected, Pisarchuk coerced his female victims to send him photos and videos.
Pisarchuk obtained nude photos and sexual videos from the victims by means of extortion. He threatened to harm them and their families if they did not comply with his demands.
Police say they were able to track down this predator from an investigation that started this past October when another juvenile came forward saying she was being threatened on Snapchat. And thanks to new technology, officials were able to crack open the cold case of Lindsay Picone.
It was determined that Lindsay Picone was harassed, threatened, and extorted by an unknown person on Snapchat.
The 21-year-old woman went missing in September 2016. Her body was discovered 2 months later in Tyler State Park.
Police have now learned that Pisarchuk attended Kutztown University from 2014 to 2018, at the same time that Lindsay Picone was being harassed.
We want to get the maximum justice that we can for Lindsay Picone and the Picone family.
Bucks officials saying we're...
Doesn't that sound very familiar? Yeah, let's run this back a little bit. I just want you guys to look at the video and think about Delphi. I'll play it from right about there.
Demands.
Police say they were able to track down this predator from an investigation that started this past October when another juvenile came forward saying she was being threatened on Snapchat. And thanks to new technology, officials were able to crack open the cold case of Lindsay Picone.
It was determined that Lindsay Picone was harassed, threatened, and extorted by an unknown person on Snapchat.
The 21-year-old woman went missing in September 2016. Her body was discovered 2 months later in Tyler State Park.
I still watch Gray.
Police have now learned that Pisarcik attended Kutztown University from 2014 to 2018.
Sometimes it's 2 seconds, sometimes it's 2 minutes.
We want to get the maximum justice that we can for Lindsay Picone and the Picone family.
I really like him better when he's a guest.
Charges are being considered and warn more victims are likely out there.
This case probably expands far outside of Bucks County.
That was Alicia Roberts reporting. We have posted a list of screen names used by Pisarcik along with an anonymous website to report cyber crimes, safetosaypa.org on CBS 3 Philly.
Wow. So what do you guys think? No, we're just getting started. And it's already like, what the fuck is going on? See, technology is making life easier for all of us and all of our needs, but it's also making life easier for these child predators and their needs. So it's a little frustrating. Yeah. I mean, that's okay, because Gray's he's a dick, so it's okay to bash Gray. Like I said, I'm still subscribed to him, but I'll tune in, and then the second he starts bashing somebody for asking a really decent question, then I tune out. But I subscribe to him because whenever he goes on somebody else's channel, he minds his manners, and I really like him. He's a really good guest, and it's almost like he knows it's not his channel, so he follows the rules. So that's the only reason I subscribe to him. And he's been doing a lot of guest appearances here in the last couple of days, and they've been really good. So, yeah. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too. That's my theory. When it comes to Keegan, I mean, like we said, we don't even know what's going on. So just, stay busy, keep looking around, keep looking into things. Don't settle. Hey, welcome. Good to have you back. Yeah, I mean, he's been eating crow lately, so. And he kind of came out and kind of gave props to all of us newcomers and kind of admitted that he made a mistake. So I don't mind giving him some respect right now. In that aspect, he deserves it. Mm-hmm. I hope, man. Well, I've already found a few that have happened. I mean, these pedal rings, when they're going on, they're not bound to a state ever, because it's typically online. So when they're trading information online, it's multiple states, and that's why it's very important for the FBI to kind of. And that's probably why the FBI might have been there. I don't know. Maybe they had this information right away. I'm not sure. Because we all know Kelsey and Mike Patty went and got all the devices and brought them to law enforcement. So maybe while looking through those devices, they were like, oh, shit, we got to get the FBI over here. We got a straight creeper. And maybe there was even video of maybe dead bodies or something. That's why they called off the search. They're like, eesh, they may not be alive. I don't know. I'm just thinking out loud. Yeah. Who knows what they have? Yep. Yep. I'll watch, like I said, I'll watch Gray when it pops up. I'll watch him until he starts to get weird. When he gets weird and off the case and onto his own weird personal stuff with his chat, like he's obsessed with his chat. Like he needs to control them. They're not allowed to read ahead on any cases. Like it's really strange. So when he goes into that mode, I'll turn it off. I'm just like, no, I'm not. That's weird. It's really strange. Yeah, I've heard so much bad shit about Greeno, but I make up my own mind. Bicycle. I don't think that's a fact, Kathy. I think that's all part of that hearsay. I think you're talking about the whole Brad Heath element, possibly seeing somebody on a bike, or maybe Dave McCain walking with somebody with a bike. Yeah, don't buy into all that. Not yet. Not until we can prove it. I think so. I think they plan on it. The case, just on the 14th, Keegan Klein's case was moved back. He was getting ready to go to his, I think it was a pre-trial, to a trial. Well, that's been actually, the pre-trial has been moved back to February 24th or 22nd, somewhere around there. And then his regular trial, I think, is in May. Somebody can correct me, but it's like, why? Like, why are all these changes? And it's funny because they released the Anthony _ shots, and they already knew that it was associated with Keegan Klein, but they put it out there like they didn't know. So what I'm thinking they did was Keegan was not cooperating with them anymore. And he realized, like, hey, I need to stop cooperating with law enforcement. I'm about to spend the rest of my life in prison if I do that. So as soon as he stopped cooperating, he was arrested and they released the information. And they knew the second they released the information that he would be tied to it. And I think it only took like 4 hours, and some smart female journalist, she might even be out of Indiana, posted it and made it public quickly. So I want to give a shout out to her. If anybody can post her name and her information, like, and law enforcement admits that they didn't release, Keegan's name. So shout out to her. She's very smart, good sleuth. She figured it out. She posted it for us, and that was law enforcement's intention. They wanted everybody to know that Keegan Klein was the bridge guy, but he wasn't alone. They wanted everybody to know. They wanted his family to know, because up until now, nobody knew that. Nobody even thought. They're just like, man, like, he's a child, he's in jail for child porn. That's gross. But they never, now imagine knowing that he's connected to the Delphi murders. Like, he's going to stop receiving money from family. Nobody's going to help him. People are going to try to beat him up in jail. Like, yeah, his world's crashing down. So for the change of his pre-trial to happen on December 14th, it could very well mean that there's been, some updates or some changes. Yeah, Big Daddy. I really don't either, but I still subscribed. I'll check in from time to time. And if he's a guest on another channel, I'll definitely check it out, especially when he's going to eat crow. I like that. No, sometimes it's like 5 seconds. Like, I turn it on and he's yelling at somebody in the chat, and then I turn it off. I'm like, I'm not here for that. Because early on, in the Delphi case, like Gray was really good, man. He was doing a lot of hard work. Like he was doing videos, he was measuring bridge guy, he was doing all this editing. Now, if you're to like measure what he was doing then till now, it's weird. Like he has donation nights and it's really weird. And I don't want to talk about another man and money. It's not my thing, but you can be your own judge when it comes to that. All right, let's continue. This one here is a little bit shorter, but it's very interesting. So I'm going to jump right into it.
7-year-old's been arrested for creating a Snapchat that features child pornography. Police made aware of the group January 26, and after serving warrants, that is, the Snapchat, Google, Comcast, and Verizon Wireless, officers were able to track down Tyler Leisinger, who made the account. He was arrested February 24th. Leisinger confessed to creating the Snapchat group and to possessing the child porn. 3 victims, ages 13 and 14, have been identified. Leisinger faces multiple charges. He's in the Somerset County Prison.
Technology.
So there you go. Sophisticated ring. That was just a short little clip. I got some more for you. That's possible, Joe. I mean, his pops does look like, you know, bridge guy. But the truth is, bridge guy doesn't look like the bridge guy that you think bridge guy looks like. So that's just a fact. Yeah. You know, and he's free to do what he wants. That's what I'm saying. Like, I respect Gray, but he's kind of like, if you don't like it, then leave. So I'm the kind of person that's like, okay, I don't argue. I don't try to debate. I just leave. Like, yeah, okay, bye. Well, you mean Libby? Yeah, he kind of does, but I mean, unless you've done your homework, you really don't know what you're looking at.
Is making it easier for the bad guys and harder for police.
Compromising and obscene positions to satisfy some perverse desire of his, and they use Facebook as a way of doing this.
Tonight, the defenders expose a shocking child porn case with ties to right here in Michigan.
And you heard that right. According to federal documents, this man used Facebook to lure girls into sending explicit images.
And they say the Michigan man was a part of it, and what he admits to is downright disgusting and very disturbing.
Yeah, I agree.
There's something about a small town. You feel like you know your neighbors just a little better. You know what's going on. But neighbors in Shaftesburg, just outside of Lansing, were adamant when they told the defenders they don't want to talk about what happened here with one of their own, 60-year-old Jeff Lamb.
Here we have a guy in the United States exploiting a bunch of children.
Keith Corbett is a former federal prosecutor. He's seen a lot in his day. This case, he admits, even troubles him.
He basically uses Facebook to order up poses of young girls.
According to this federal indictment, Jeff Lamb would use Facebook Messenger, a free instant messaging service, to connect to children in the Philippines.
Their economic situation may be even more dire than most of the people here.
According to the indictment, Lamb repeatedly requested images and videos depicting minor girls engaging in sexually explicit conduct.
Yeah, too much.
The investigation shows Lamb received from one minor 143 images and videos during a 6-month time span this year. Many of the images defined as child pornography.
And he sends the money to the Philippines. He instructs the people in the Philippines as to what kind of poses he wants, what kind of age of child he's interested in. In this case, some of them were prepubescent girls.
According to the indictment, another minor sent Lamb 295 images, many of them sexually explicit.
Facebook notified the government based upon the information they had that this looked to be questionable, and as a result of that, they were able to locate this gentleman.
Federal agents tracked Lamb down to his Shiawassee County home, seized his electronics and thumb drive.
Yeah, go get your
And
breakfast.
then Lamb admitted to the allegations using Facebook
Have a
Messenger,
great day.
sending money, and receiving sexually explicit images and videos of minors.
No. Go.
But when
Look at this
Defender
guy.
cameras showed up to Lamb's home recently,
Look at him. He
the
looks like Bridge
60-year-old
Guy.
was not that talkative. He
Fucking
saw our
creep.
camera, made a quick turn, and then hid in his garage.
Yeah,
Door
for sure.
shut, he wasn't coming out.
We
gonna
not
do it
only have the
anyway. Might as well do it with you
exploitation
guys.
of the children in the Philippines, but we have sort of an effort to feed a need on the part of some people for this kind of material in the United States, which can lead to the generation of the same kinds of activities in this country and the exploitation of young people right here in our own backyard.
That is the reality. The next victims could be from here in Shaftsburg, or maybe in your town. As they say, sometimes you just don't really know your neighbors.
And according to the indictment, Lamb estimated he
42,
received images
Carol.
and videos
Wow.
from about 4 different minor
Crazy.
girls ranging in age from 13 to 17 over the past 2 years. His case goes to trial December 16th.
Damn. Well, it's like the more I look into this, the more I see like how much it's a pandemic, you know. And if you listen to the FBI, every success story comes from these huge companies that have turned in these people. So we got to ask, why is Apple not doing this? And if you're part of the whole Delphi community and the whole Delphi case and trying to, get resolution to that case, you have to ask, what's going on with Apple? I understand privacy. That's important, especially in America. Like, we value our privacy. But I mean, what does privacy have to do when you discover child porn? Like, there's no privacy at that point. That's like somebody who's like a mass murderer. His life is no longer valuable if he's trying to kill other people. You take him out. So it's kind of strange that Apple would do that. It makes me question their ethics. So let's go through. Yep. Where's his mother? That was one of the first questions I asked. Where's mom? Before we finish it out, we'll check out some of the comments. Yeah, that's very smart. The word is sophisticated. You know what I mean? It's not that hard. Even the dumbest of guys can get in a room and come together and become sophisticated. You know? Well, we don't know if he has a short neck. We don't know if he has a hoodie on underneath and then a jacket over the top. We just don't know. There's a lot going on there. So much easier to do it from your computer. That's what they're doing. Yeah, it was like 262, I think, last year. Even Dropbox is doing a great job. So I want everybody to know that. You heard what the FBI said. They said it was Dropbox that reported the transmission of child porn, and then they were able to begin their operations. So give a shout out to Dropbox, Instagram, and Facebook, and a middle finger to Apple. Yep. Okay, I'm listening. Big fish, small pond. You know I'm always listening to what you got to say. Yep. Very sick. I was going to include a lot of that, but there's just certain things that I don't like sometimes. I can handle a lot, but I can't handle everything. Pretty soon, man. I'm thinking here within like a few days. And if it doesn't, we got to stay busy because that means that there's nothing going on. Yep, Jenny. Thanks for coming by. We love you. That one was for Jenny. Goddamn Europeans. Yeah, what's up, JT? What up? Yeah, I think it's possible, Carrie. But I don't think... I'm thinking at this point he may have just been an accessory. May have been used. He was very good at catfishing. He may have had a very low self-esteem as a child, and his entire life just got better and better and better at being somebody else. And maybe an evil friend of his talked him into murder and using those skills to take, to fulfill that crime. Yeah, don't hate, create. Yeah, that's my girl. All right, let's keep it moving.
Well, Dan, more than a dozen people arrested across the country, hundreds, if not thousands, of pornographic images recovered, and Morgan Hill police say it all started with two Central Coast men. A nationwide porn sting that had its origins in two Central Coast homes. Morgan Hill police say 19-year-old Connor Reinhardt of Gilroy and Jose Gutierrez of San Martin videotaped themselves having sex with 10-year-old kids and then distributing the pornography on the internet.
Unfortunately, there are people all over the world who have shown an interest in getting that content. And so what we want to do is track down as many of them as we can and get as much information as we can about each of those people.
19 people from across the country have been arrested for receiving child porn, including the San Jose man, 38-year-old Graham Besserman. Police say he took it a step further and communicated with the minor with the intent to have sex.
So someone who has the interest and the will to act is what we're concerned about. So we want to get as much information as we can about whether there's any other potential victims out there.
Investigators concerned that Besserman, who surrounded himself with underage boys and girls, may have victims out there. He worked as an umpire for the Santa Cruz Coast Athletic League and the Camp Recovery Center, a drug and alcohol treatment center in Scotts Valley. At the time of his arrest, he was working with children at a mental health facility in San Francisco.
there's a tendency to think that these are victimless crimes. In this case, these are real children who are being exploited and abused. They're children in our community. And so we want to make sure that there's no other children out there who have been similarly victimized.
Now we want to name those arrested again. They are Graham Besserman, Connor Reinhardt, and Jose Gutierrez. If you recognize those names and believe they have committed a crime, contact your local police department or Morgan Hill Police. Dan, Aaron.
Thank you very much, Felix. Morgan Hill Police say that the two children videotaped are now in protective custody.
Wow. Well, I think that brings us to a closure. So we'll close out the comments and we'll call it a night. Highly anticipated, Big Daddy. I know it'll be successful. Let me know whatever you need, man, from me anyway. Yeah, Carrie, you got great questions. Yeah, thank you for coming in and hanging out. Appreciate it. Yep, it's possible. Welcome. So yeah, if you guys just want to chat it up and kind of talk about Delphi and anything that you might think is related to what we just talked about, we got a lot of information really about how the FBI operates. And a lot of this information might have been taking place during the crime, you know? A lot of cooperation going on between different agencies. Hey, how you doing? Jacqueline Keeley, thanks for coming by. Yeah, it's really gross. I mean, you would think there'd be some big money in there, but what is big money? I would think a child smut peddler, I think he would do something like that for like 100,000. That's the thing. Like a normal person's like, you better pay me like $100 billion. Like, no, these guys, they're already wanting to kill anyway. They were already going to graduate. They may have already graduated. You know, child porn is just something that they do for fun. Killing was always something that they were hoping to do. She's trying to waterboard him. No, I think it's better if we kick some people off. We don't need to get off. We're going to kick them off. Yeah, when I was there was a lot of videos that I watched that I did not include because of time. You know, I wanted to keep it under like an hour and a half. I think that's fair. You know, anybody wants to come back and rewatch a live, an hour and a half, you know, it's reasonable. But there was plenty of videos that I learned a whole bunch from, and they were just as disgusting. But I mean, this could have been endless. All the stories. It's very scary. And some of these people, they don't just operate from state to state here in the United States. They know that internet will reach across, the entire planet. And they're victimizing people all over the world, especially these third world countries. If you saw that one story with the guy in the Philippines, he was sending them money. So, I mean, imagine a predator stalking you, but knowing that if you get the money, you're going to feed your family. Imagine that. Imagine how messed up that is. Yeah, something about that just kind of makes my stomach hurt a little bit. For sure. It's what we do here. We look at the sickos, we try to understand their language, and then we break it down together. They're not powerful. They're just wires are crossed. And it's something unfortunate that happens in life. If you didn't have the good part of life wouldn't mean anything because it would all be good. So it's that yin and that yang. But if you don't want to be a victim, you got to educate yourself. All right, we'll keep going through the chat. Yeah. Sorry about that, Amber. You're welcome, Big Daddy. Thank you for everything you do, man. I appreciate all the correspondence. I really do. Hey, you. Thanks for showing up. For sure. Fight for justice. Thanks for coming in and giving those good comments. Appreciate it. Yeah, the ruse. Police know a lot about the ruse. They use ruses on the daily basis to try to get you to kind of go against your rights, I guess. They might come out and use a ruse like, hey, somebody called me and told me to come check on you. And really, like, nobody called. They're just suspicious of you. Stuff like that. That's a ruse. It's a lie, but a ruse is a lie, is more of a hidden lie. Yeah, he looks like him for sure. You got it, Jenny. Well, you have a good day. I know you're on the other side of the world, so you take care. Stay positive. Wow, good for him. Yeah, they'll test you. It's the secret societies. Yeah, very scary. Yep, unfortunately. I did find some stories like that tonight. They were very political. Thanks, Carol. I'm not sure, Donald, but I do hear that there is a provable connection between Templin and Klein. So I'm looking forward to hearing more about that. I just heard about that today. Yeah, thanks for coming in there. Appreciate it. Yep, Joe. Yeah. Yep, conservative. For real. Trump supporter all the way. Not that I hate on anybody else, but that's just where I'm coming from. All right, man. Good to see your face around. Hopefully we see you again. I appreciate your input. For sure, JT. All is welcome, man. Appreciate you coming by. For sure. Maybe I'll make the next one a little bit longer. Maybe 2 hours is might be the right time frame. For some reason, I'm thinking an hour and a half, but maybe 2 hours might be a little better. Oh, you're sweet. Thank you. Oh, man, what a sicko. All right, guys, we're coming up to the hour and 30 minutes. We got about 2 more minutes. So if you got any questions for me or anything you want to get moving around, let me know. Yeah, it really does. I just don't want to try to fill up space. I just want to make sure I have the content that I'm providing is something of substance. I don't want to stretch. To be honest, we could talk for an entire hour with the chat. We all know that. For sure, you too. Thanks for always coming and hanging out. Appreciate it. Yeah. Like once you establish the ruse, there's always instructions that come with it. Mm-hmm. That kind of reminds me of the whole secondary location. They always say never go to a secondary location. So if somebody jumps out at you and they're threatening to kill you or anything, and they're telling you, "Hey, I'm going to kill you unless you come with me," what they mean is, when you come with me, I'm going to kill you. Because where you're at right now isn't safe for them to kill you. They need to take you somewhere else. Yeah, we appreciate it. But my eyes? You want to see my eyes? You see the eyes in the mask there? The sleuth intuition mask? Those are my eyes. You can kind of see them in the mask, those hazel brownish looking eyes. Those are my eyes. All right, guys. Appreciate it. We're going to close it out. Thanks, everybody.